All right, welcome in everybody to the fourth episode of the Celtics Power Hour. Uh, KJ Doyle joined by Ev Singleton, and Ev, I know you, I know you got a lot of it out last night. I know you got a lot of the frustration out last night. But wow, I mean, now that you've had some time to digest it, the big story, obviously, of the day right now is Marcus Smart and what Marcus Smart had to say last night and the fallout after that. So, I mean, after having a chance a day to kind of think about it, what did you think of his comments last night?
I still feel like I'm in the same boat. So just to reiterate, I guess my boat is that I don't think that's the best way you handle anything. I don't think that going to the media and calling your teammates out is ever gonna get anything done. But I think we did start to learn more and more as the night went on. Like Jason Tatum didn't talk to the media. Jaylen Brown didn't want to talk. They were saying that they were unavailable, that type of thing. So I think that, I start to, and again, from the beginning, I always thought Marcus Smart, what he was saying probably was true. It's just a matter of how you deliver it and who's delivering it. I don't know if Marcus Smart's the guy that I want giving the offensive tips for this team. But then when I start to learn that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown pretty much declined talking to the media after a terrible blown lead and a terrible loss, then it's kind of like, okay, well, now I'm starting to see the frustration and I'm starting to have less and less of a problem with it. But like, either way, whether Marcus Smart's right, whether he's wrong, whether he's out of line, anything like that, like this isn't a good formula for the Celtics. People are like, oh, it needs to be said. No, good teams don't go and call each other out within the media and everything like that. Like that's a team that's in sort of turmoil or things are not clicking right now. Like that is an issue, regardless of what Marcus Smart said, whether it was correct or whether it wasn't correct. Like it's not a good sign that happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that it's not even that if Marcus Smart had said, I don't know, it was being quoted differently in different places. So forgive me if I'm wrong on it. This is what I saw. Okay, so if Smart had talked about it as if they like I think we need to pass more in general, or we like as a team we need to move the ball more. You have assists. Talking generalities. It's one thing. It's another thing to talk about the two best players on your team and look at them and point at them and say, they don't want to pass. They don't pass the ball. Those two. That's a lot. That is pretty aggressive by Marcus Smart. And it's a little much. Like, I understand the frustration. Obviously, how can you not understand the frustration? If he wasn't frustrated, I'd be confused, right? They're terrible right now. They shouldn't be this bad. But, like, it's just it. I hate to say it's not his place, because if it's not, then whose is it, right? Is it Ime Udoka's, because they're not listening to him. Who are these guys going to listen to? Clearly,
I, I
like
mean,
seems
I,
like no one. So
I think that it's his place to speak up, but again, it all comes down to what you're speaking up about. You know what I mean? Like I'll give you that Marcus Smart is one of the leaders on this team, and he can and has the right to speak up. I don't know if he has the right to speak about the two guys that are most definitely better than him, but I again, it's more or less the situation that I have a problem with. Marcus Smart speaking about two guys that are by far and away better than him offensively. And I know like some of his statements might be true and might be fair because we've seen a lot of ISO ball over the past few years. But to me, it's always who's saying it. And you say like, oh, well, who's gonna say it? Like I think Al Horford could say anything, and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown be like, okay, I'm gonna listen to that. But Marcus Smart saying like, I'm proud of these guys. They've grown so much. That is so like I just hate hearing that. It's like Jason Tatum doesn't care if Marcus Smart's proud of him. Jaylen Brown doesn't care if Marcus Smart's proud of him. Those guys are so beyond Marcus Smart in the upper echelon level of this league that him saying, "Oh, I'm proud of these guys," that's so like that's almost like a little jab. And I don't know if he was trying to say that, but that's how I took it.
yeah, I just the way I feel is that it was not the time or the place for Marcus Smart to say that, and it feels like from the outside, like we talk, a lot of people mention like you got to trade Smart now, you got to trade Smart now, and I understand that reaction. I'll say this: it seems like of all the relationships on the team, the one that is probably in the worst state, I imagine, is the Marcus Smart with the Jays relationship. Like, I can't think of another 2, 3 players on the team that you'd come up with that probably have a worse relationship than those guys. Like it seems very, it seems that there's a lot of tension there, very strenuous. I mean, you remember back in the bubble, I mean, Marcus and Jalen reportedly really got into it in the locker room.
Yep.
So like the fact that Marcus just can't seem to get along with your two best players. Well, guess who's going to go, Marcus? Like, guess who they're going to get rid of? It's not going to be those two guys first. So, look, I don't know what side of it you're on, but like, I'm with the people that say by the time the clock strikes January 15th, like, yeah, you trade Marcus Smart.
After, are you saying that because it's built up over like he started to play less and less of that defense, he's shooting too much, or is it all based on this situation that you now say that,
It's everything. It's the past few years. It's okay, well, we made this coaching change and clearly that wasn't enough. So now we need to shake things up. Who's next in line? It's Marcus Smart. It's the fact that he's playing the worst basketball of his career right now. It's the fact that he's making this move to point guard and he's not embracing it the way he should be. It's all of it. It's all of it. It's the fact that what I just said, the relationships between the Jays and Marcus Smart is not good, and I'm not trading the Jays. Like,
Right. And I mean, I know this is on that same level, but I talked about that last night in the post game, trading Jason Tatum, and like that isn't an option. People are like, oh, well, if you had to trade one of them, it's not an option. You can't be a Celtics fan and want to trade either of them. That you are locked in to Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You have to make it work. You've invested time, you've invested money, you've invested, missing other pieces that you could bring onto this team. It's Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown or bust. And, in any sort of situation that they do say that these guys, and again, this is kind of off topic, I guess, because we're talking Marcus Smart. If one of those guys were to get traded, you aren't getting the return you should be getting for those guys based on what you've put in and, what you expect to get from those guys. So to your point, it's not going to be, if it's between these three guys and there is some sort of friction, it's not going to be Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown being traded, right? Like it's going to be Marcus Smart. And even if we're thinking of this logically, because that's why I asked you about, whether or not this is the final straw or is it something that's been brewing. Marcus Smart still, regardless of him, popping off to the media, regardless of him even shooting bad, he remains, I guess, one of your most valuable tradable assets. You know what I mean? Like he could bring in somewhat of a return, and he could, I guess, be a piece that could get you someone of equal or better talent because, Marcus Smart, if we're going to hate on him this episode and whatnot, he's done so much good in his career for this team. And I think some teams are going to value that. Like, I don't think you're going to get an absolute star in return for him, but Marcus Smart's the type of guy that you could put on a team that's contending and he can make them contend a little bit more.
Well, look, I mean, the trade that I look to right now is like, we talk about the whole Sixers situation, your problem for my problem, Ben Simmons for Kyrie Irving, like that's been thrown out there before, right? And I've heard people, spaz about that. I don't think it's going to happen. But the reason I bring it up is because in a similar vein, a little lower scale, your problem for my problem, Marcus Smart for Buddy Hield, And do I think the Celtics need Buddy Hield's shooting right now necessarily? Like, I don't know. They're not shooting the ball great, but I don't think Buddy Hield is necessarily what they need. I mean, they're the worst defensive team in basketball by points per game right now. So I don't necessarily think Buddy Hield's going to fix that problem. But I think Buddy Hield does, is still a good player, would play off the Jays pretty well. And I think if you're looking for getting a valuable player and a good player for Marcus Smart, that's an option. Now, how does Marcus Smart fit on the Kings? I don't know. They already have guards, Fox, and they have Halliburton, and they have Davion Mitchell now who's playing well. So like Smart maybe doesn't fit there. Maybe you can do a 3-team trade, Marcus Smart somewhere else. You send whatever to the Kings and you get Buddy Hield. I don't know, but I think that is a trade I look at and I kind of like. I want to bring up some of the comments already. Birkin saying Marcus should have kept it in-house. Now, like this is the thing though, Birkin. Don't you think Marcus has been keeping this in-house for like 2 years now? I'm sure this isn't a new feeling of Marcus Smart that the Jays don't pass the ball. I'm sure he's felt that way for a while. And now he's just finally like, I mean, the pot boiled over, he like blew his temper and he was like, I'm tired of this. And he sounded off to the media. So I'm sure Marcus has been telling the Jays for probably some time, you need to pass more. You need to pass more. You need to pass more. And he's heard Brad telling them you need to pass more. And he's heard all these people telling him you need to pass more. And so now eventually he's coming to the media and he's like, they don't pass, guys. Like we've been telling them to do that. And they're not doing that. So like the whole thing, Marcus should have kept it in-house. I'm sure he tried that, and in his mind, he's like, "Well, that didn't work, so let's try the media."
Yeah, I mean, and I sent a few DMs last night hoping to get some response, and like at least I've been led to believe that Marcus did keep, like, it's been an ongoing thing this year, keeping it in house, and with this, and that speaks to the friction too. You know what I mean? Like if he has to keep saying it. My thing is, I don't think you ever get to the point of, okay, I've kept it in house long enough. Now I gotta, you know what I mean? Like that to me is not the sign of a decent or a good. That's a sign of like a bad team. If, oh well, I've kept it in house long enough, now I gotta go to the media. I still don't agree with that. But I do want to put the whole sort of context of this was, maybe this is a tough word, but this was a historic loss. You know what I mean? Or at least an absolutely memorable loss. So guys were going to be hot and bothered. Guys were going to be running hot. Marcus Smart's blood was probably boiling. So that's why he probably was like, oh, this enough's enough. Like I'm going to the media. But I still think, like, you know, even if there's some issues going on, like, and we've heard some like, and I can't think of any at the top of my head right now, but it's like we've heard some of the greats come out and talk about how, wow, by the way, this entire time we had this entire beef in the locker room, you guys never knew, and you kind of get past it, you work on it. I think the media is never the answer. Like I would take what happened between Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis on the bench with the Lakers. You know, was that a couple weeks ago where they got into like a shoving match and had to be separated and they almost got into a fight? I'd take that before you run to the media and say like, oh, these guys need to pass. Why? Like, I don't like the media approach. But if he's going to go the media approach, I think you still have to do it a little bit more inconspicuously and talk about how the team has problems with passing and moving the ball. But he just went right for the jugular and said, nah, it's Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Like those guys need to pass more. So that was like the issue to me. And again, I still think that I might be being like, you know, reading between the lines too much here, or thinking too like, I don't know, conspiracy like about this. But I hate that he was like, I'm proud of these guys. They've grown so much. Like they were better basketball players their rookie seasons, their second year, I guess, lock in second year than Marcus Smart was, maybe will be. So that's tough to swallow. I've been a Marcus Smart supporter. I still do support him, but let's not act like Marcus Smart should be the guy dishing out gold stars to Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown when they do something right, and taking them away when they do something wrong. Like if that's not him. He's supposed to be the gritty defender of this team. I get it. He's, you know, maybe a behind closed doors captain, that type of thing, but you don't call guys out for their offense when they're both miles ahead better offensively than you. I said it on the post game show last night. If he said they have to start playing with some more defensive intensity, they have to want to lock up, they have to really put effort in the defensive end, I would still not like that he called them out to the media, but at least he's talking his language. You know, at least he's talking about what he is able to say, hey, I'm good at this. Offense, no, it's not a Marcus Smart conversation to me.
Well, look, and maybe part of it, and I think this has always been the case for Smart, is like he thinks I was here first. This was my team first. I'm the longest tenured Celtic. I'm the all defense guy. Like he thinks he considers himself like a leader of the team. People think he should be a captain, blah, blah, blah. So like to him, these are people that are younger than him. And not like, I mean, I think we think about it like, well, they're not that much younger than Smart, but when you really map it out, I mean, Jaylen was 2016 draft and Jason was 2017 draft, right? And both of those guys came out as freshmen. Marcus Smart was 2014, and he came out as I think, or maybe he was 2015, but either way, he came out as a sophomore. So, or maybe was it actually? I guess it was. Anyway, either way, whatever. The point is that he came out as a sophomore, so he's even a few years older than either of those guys. I mean, Jaylen came out first, and Jaylen's what? Jaylen's 24 now, I think. And
Marcus
then
Smart's 27. Like
Jaylen's
it's
25, Marcus 27, so he's a couple years older than him. So I don't know. Maybe it seems like Marcus has always had this superiority complex to both of these guys. Okay, and he you know, I don't even want to say superiority, but some sort of like he feels like
entitlement. He's entitled
yeah.
to he's entitled to what he wants to do on this team, when he wants to do it, who he can call out, everything like that.
And it's just like these guys are the leaders of the team. They're more important than you. Like, sorry, Marcus, that's just the way it is. And I think he's always kind of failed to accept that and understand that. And look, I honestly I hate this. Like, and I know you do too, and I know most people do. I hate this. I hate that we're talking about this right now. I hate that we can't just be celebrating the 5-2 Celtics, and we have to talk about the fact that Marcus Smart probably needs to go. I would love nothing more than to be singing Marcus Smart's praises, lauding him as the all defensive caliber player that he can be, and talking about how he's a key piece for the Celtics. But right now there's an issue, and it's time for a scapegoat in the blame game, and it's hard not to point to him right now. And I don't. The last thing I want to be doing is driving Marcus Smart out of town. But I feel like that's what it's come to with this team right now, honestly. And I never thought we would be here, but that's the level we've reached at this point. It's that the only reason to me to hold on to Marcus Smart past the trade deadline at this point is if you think that he's going to be a key piece if you're doing a sign and trade for Bradley Beal this offseason. Like, that's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, and I kind of touched on it earlier too. Like, forget this conversation, right, that he had with the media and what was reported. Marcus Smart still remains one of the pieces that I think you can trade and get some value for. So regardless of whether he was right or wrong last night, again, I still think that he was probably right in what he was saying. Like, I think we see a lot of ISO ball, but I don't know if he's the guy to deliver the news. And two, I don't think that you do that to the media. Like, forget the fact that, oh man, maybe he was saying everything factually speaking. Then keep that behind closed doors. And two, don't talk about offense if you're the defensive guy. Like, I still firmly believe in that. But forget that even happened last night. Picture that the Celtics are now an underwhelming team. They're so underneath expectations already. I think that you know that more than anybody with the bet that you made, KJ. But think about it, Marcus Smart. There's not many other guys on this team that you could think are tradable names that you could get something for. And I'm not even saying that this is the Marcus Smart that we're going to get all year long. Like, I will give Marcus Smart credit in the sense that we've seen some of the late game heroics that he did in years past that we haven't seen in a couple years. He's done that. But forget the comments last night. He still remains one of your most tradable pieces.
All right, and I see Jimmy J in the chat, so I was waiting for him to do this.
Give a little backstory here.
What is the Celtics record of?
2-5.
2-5. And what did I say it was going to be after 6 games?
I don't. 4-2, 5-1.
4-2. Yeah, 4-2. Jimmy J.
He super chatted too. Shout out to him.
I say trades on another super chat. I took your super chat money from last time, Jimmy J, and I went ahead and I bought myself. Oh my God, I've not looked at these yet, so that is my genuine reaction to looking at them for the first time.
I think you're gonna like them.
Some plantains. Here they are. See if it'll focus on these a little bit.
Focusing real nice.
So I got those, and then I also got another second order of them.
Let's not forget that you bet Jimmy J that you would eat a shoe first, and then he said, "Nah, let's do plantains." So I know you're saying this is gross, but you're kind of lucking out here, KJ.
So he kind of saved me, but these ones are fried. I think.
Those are food, right? They can't be that bad.
Yeah, I mean these don't look that bad. So just for some context, I guess we haven't fully explained it. I bet on this show.
Your face right now. Do those not smell good? I've never been in the vicinity of plantains, but your face just drastically changed from 10 minutes ago.
I don't know. They don't seem great, but just let me give the backstory first. So Jimmy J bet that essentially that he donated, and I said if the Celtics aren't 4-2 in their first 6 games, because I was feeling pretty confident, then I'll eat whatever you say. And I say I'll eat a shoe or whatever. And Jimmy J suggested plantains. So I went out, I ordered some plantains. I got them on Postmates delivered. So worse yet, that these are not only plantains, but they're cold. They've been sitting around for like an hour and a half now. And I mean, these actually look like they might be okay. The raw ones, or whatever you would call those other ones, they don't look too good. I mean, I'll show, because I'll try. I guess I should try these first, huh? Like as a punishment kind of thing. I mean, you can't tell me these don't look disgusting. Like
they kind of look like chicken wings. Like those look appetizing to me. I mean, it's not my bet to answer. It's not my word to hold up, but those don't look bad to me. I'll be completely honest. Okay, that looks bad. Whatever you just picked up looks bad. But the rest of it doesn't look that bad. Like, I don't think that looks like a chicken wing.
So anyway, I've never had these before. I barely heard of them. But
look at this. So Jimmy J saying cold tostones are horrible. Eat the sweet ones. Which one are you eating right now? The non-sweet? Or do you not
Uh,
even know?
I no, I think I ordered. So here's the weird thing about the place I ordered from is that it said something like sweet. Hold on, I have the screenshot. I sent it to you. I think it's one order was like fried plantains, which are the other ones I have. But the weird thing about it, it said I think they're fried plantains, but even the restaurant I ordered from. So this might say something about the restaurant I ordered from. Maybe it's a little sketchy. It just says fries plantains. I think they meant fried, but they misspelled it on their own menu. So so maybe that says something about the quality I'm about to eat from. And then the other
So
one said
tostones are the fried ones,
right,
and
and
if they're
then
cold, they're not going to be good. That's what Jimmy's saying.
okay, and then these ones were sweet. So these are the sweet plantains. So these ones up here. Sorry, these the ones that we're looking at now. But these look grosser to me. I mean, it's up to you, Ev. I'll eat or Jimmy J if one of you guys wants to. I'll eat whichever one you want me to eat first. I think I'll like these less, but I mean whichever. It's up to you guys. I
You're eating
guess.
both though, right? You're just asking which one's
Yeah, I'll
first.
eat both. Yeah.
All right, all right. Let's see if we can get a 1 in the chat for the darker ones, and then a 2 in the chat for the lighter ones. We'll see
All
what the
right.
majority is. We'll let it go.
Fair enough.
I do
Yeah.
think it's funny. I feel like everyone in the chat's probably like, dude, it's not that bad, right? But
No,
you've
I
just
mean,
never
I
had
don't
it
know.
before.
I mean, how many people have you ever had plantains?
No, I
Yeah, so I
haven't
don't know
even.
how. I feel like we're not in the minority here. I feel like most people probably haven't had plantains. I don't know. All right, we got a couple of twos, a 1-1 so far.
Let's go with 2.
All right, well, all right, we got 2 ones. All right, well, how about next one decides it? Next number decides it. All right. Okay, well that does Andrew, of course, throwing the double 1 and 2s in there. Jimmy J, you know what? I'm just Jimmy J, you decide it. Okay, which ones am I eating first? Because he said he just said the ones you hate more. I don't know. I'm not sure which ones I'm not gonna like more. But as I said before, we got another 1 and another 2, so it's still tied.
The dark ones. Jimmy J has spoken.
All right, Jimmy J gets to decide because he's donating. So, all right. Gosh, these are so slimy.
Slimy and
God.
cold, like that's tough.
I can't even like pick this up right now. It's just sliding all over the place. All right.
Andrew says, "Be careful."
All right. Bottoms up.
I can't wait for you to just love these. Oh, I don't know. You're not liking them, huh?
I mean,
how about one of these?
Like they kind of taste like it tastes like a honey barbecue sauce on these.
Okay, that's okay.
But it does feel like it feels like someone tried to make like vegan chicken wings out of like bananas.
I like that the Celtics are so bad right now that we're turning into a food show.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. I think honestly, the God.
KJ looks terrified to say the least. Like it's almost like you think you're eating something non-edible. But hey,
I think that the one that I got, I think that it was almost better that it was thin.
how about you know this is the case that something isn't necessarily good when Jimmy J has to say, well, it's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
Anything that's an acquired taste, someone really has to work towards.
Oh gosh. All right. I'll eat one of these big chonkers now. Now this actually looks like a banana right here.
Oh, you're going for round 2 here.
Well, I want to.
That looks like a chicken wing.
This looks like the bottom of banana.
I mean, sure, but it also looks like a chicken wing.
I don't know.
This isn't going to be another ice cream music debate.
I feel like I need to. It does just look like they just covered a banana in honey barbecue sauce. If you really look closer at it, if I can get it.
Hey, sounds pretty good.
Hold on, get me out of here. Come on.
KJ, I'm not gonna lie.
I've already seen enough close-ups.
The chat knows a lot about plantains. We look like a couple dummies here.
Do they? I don't know. All right, this isn't gonna focus. All right, I'll give this a bite.
Flash this up real quick as KJ bites it.
You can really see the banana now. It's coming out.
There you go.
Okay.
KJ, this is the turning point. Jimmy J super chatted again. We appreciate that. He said, thanks for being good sports with your bet. You are a man of your word, KJ. And he says, please turn the season around.
Maybe this will be a point.
If the Celtics turn the season around, you guys know who you can thank. Who you can thank.
I'll say this. I'm not going to finish those. That's what I'll say. All right, now we move on to 2. I think I like these better. I mean, what can you not like that's fried? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you can pretty much fry anything. Again, I suggested if you fried a shoe, it'd probably still be fine, generally. Um, all right, I'll just dive into these 2 now, I guess. Do you think I'll like these better? I do, probably.
And I'm just seeing it through a video. I don't know.
It's just less
Maybe.
slimy. Here, should I get a close up of these 2 one more time?
Yeah, they look like they're gonna be a little crunchy, but they're cold, so go for it.
Like some nice chips, you know? All right.
And anyone just joining, this is all because of a bet KJ made with the chat, with Jimmy J in particular.
These aren't good either. Honestly. They're just like, I mean, this tastes like a shoe. Like, it's just like the blandest thing ever.
You rather stick to the original thing and eat in a shoe?
Oh, this is just like dry. It's like, it just tastes like bad bread. Like,
Ugh.
I mean, that's really all it is. So this isn't that good either. I'll give it another bite.
As he goes in for a second bite. Okay. Lo and behold, that nighttime you're gonna be putting on your flashlight, just eating plantains under the covers.
I'm sorry, I'm not finishing these. I
It's
don't
all right.
know.
We let's that was, I think, a round of applause for KJ. Actually, I could do that over here.
I feel terrible wasting food, but I can't finish these.
All right. In the meantime, this is the perfect way to get us back on track, KJ. Unless
I gotta
you
spit this
okay.
out, bro. I gotta spit this out. This is...
Oh man, Jimmy, you're killing the co-host over here. Oh, Jimmy J wins that bet. All right. You're cleaning up. I'm going to try and get this on the rails. You go do your thing. MGM says Smart's being hypocritical, isn't he? Like, yes,
Wait,
Tatum should
can I
pass
say one
more.
thing before you continue, actually? I'm sorry. All right, well, read MGM. He donated. You can read
Yes,
MGM.
Smart's being hypocritical, isn't he? Like, yes, Tatum should pass more, but he's only averaging 0.3 less assists than Smart, who is our average point guard. And the funny thing is, KJ, this got brought up in the chat afterwards. How about Marcus Smart saying that on a night that he's the starting point guard and had how many assists? You know, right?
0, yeah.
Zero assists.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't the best night. And that was also someone in the chat last night. We do appreciate the super chat there, Big MGM. Someone in the chat last night was like, how are you shitting on Smart tonight? The guy shot well. Like, he's not a bad shooter. I'm like, how are you going to take one game and go and say, like, oh, Marcus Smart shot well tonight. Why are you being mean to him? I'm sorry if Marcus Smart's listening and I'm offending him, but I'm just calling it how it is. Like, even if Marcus Smart, I do think he was being hypocritical last night because I do think he needs to talk about defense. If he wants to inspire this team, talk about what you know. Speak your own language, okay? But even if he was correct about what he said, like I said, I don't think that he handled it correctly. I see so many people on Twitter being like, oh, well, he has to say something. No, Marcus Smart doesn't have to say something. It could be a problem that persists, but he doesn't need to be the one to say it, you know?
So this is what I'll say, because people have mentioned this, or I've seen a lot of tweets of this, and this is actually these are actually some good points. There was someone who went back and watched like all of the entirety of the fourth quarter, because if you remember in the fourth quarter, like Jason Tatum was getting like double triple teamed by the Bulls. Like they were sending people at Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and this Twitter user, I want to give credit where credit's due, NBA AYY, so NBAA, you know, they said, I rewatched the fourth quarter of this game. Both Tatum and Brown passed it out of double teams multiple times to wide open Celtics teammates. They produced 0 points out of these wide open looks, and they had 4 shots where like Schroeder, Richardson, Horford, and Smart all had wide open looks, and they all bricked them. So that's another theme of the season is the Celtics aren't shooting good from 3, at least like some of their key players aren't shooting good from 3. I tweeted out the other day, like Smart, Horford, Tatum, Brown were all struggling mightily from 3. So for as, you know, much as we say, well, offense isn't the problem, like I think they're pretty much, if you know, points per game, they're high because they played so many overtimes at this point. But if you look at offensive points per 100 possessions, they're like middle of the pack. So maybe that's a reason for, like it's Gear is even saying in the chat, he said that Buddy Hield was someone that he liked when I brought it up, and that Buddy would know his role, unlike Smart. I think that's what East Gear said earlier. So I think that, you know, for as much as Buddy, it doesn't feel like their problems are offense, because they are down there defensively too. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like Buddy could still fix a lot of the problems on this team, and I think it would be nice to have a shooter out there. Like we talked about what could it do for the Celtics if Aaron Nesmith could take a step forward, right? Well, Buddy Hield's kind of what the Aaron Nesmith ceiling is already. So I think Buddy Hield can do a lot for this team.
Do and I do agree. I will say the only thing with him is that he's been like given the green light to shoot like a minimum 15 threes a game or something. It was something crazy that Sacramento told him though, because there was like a deal like, hey, you come off the bench, you could still shoot like 15 threes a game. You know what I mean? It was a weird thing, but I'm down to take him because obviously that wouldn't fly here, and I think that they do need shooting. I know you said that earlier, like I don't know if they need a shooting. I think the one thing the Celtics don't have is a guy that you say, hey, that's a shooter. But let's get into Gears Ass Super Chat here. That's how we get the comments answered right away.
Yeah, saying that Smart doesn't know his role in the team anymore. We heard you say that earlier too, and I think that largely is kind of true. I think, and honestly, I don't know if Marcus Smart's entirely to blame for that. I think he is a little to blame, even maybe mostly to blame. But like Marcus Smart's role on this team is kind of confusing, and it's always been in flux. Like, and for as much as people say like he should never shoot and everything, well, like that would not work. And if teams are going to leave him wide open, like he's not like Tony Allen out there. It's not like he can never hit a three. So he's just. I don't know if it's as much anymore that about knowing his role and all this stuff. I think there's two things. Marcus Smart is not good enough to fit what the Celtics need him to do. He doesn't, and he just doesn't. And the larger point being, he just doesn't fit on this team anymore. Okay, like the Celtics need him to know when to shoot and be reliable when it's time to shoot, and he can't do that. And the defense, the effort, the energy stuff, like he's not bringing that to the team anymore. So it's just a bad relationship at this point. It's a toxic relationship that you need to get out of. And you love each other, and Marcus Smart loves Boston, and Boston loves Marcus Smart, and it's been great for a while here. But it's just the marriage is not going to work, and it stinks because you proposed to him this offseason and he said yes, and now you're engaged and you're supposed to spend the next 5 years together with that contract extension. But it's time to break off the engagement. You break it off before this extension kicks in and move on and go your separate ways because you're just going to be unhappy together.
Yeah, I mean, I will answer this question first off, and I know you said it's not about knowing his role. I will say I'm with Gear. I don't think he knows his role anymore. I think that Marcus Smart thinks he's more of a contributing factor to this team offensively than he will be. But yeah, it's weird. It's almost like Marcus Smart's in this situation right now that if you are still thinking about moving forward with him or you're scared to trade him, it's because of what's happened in the past, right? It's like you're too afraid to move on because of all of the time investment that you've had. But that shouldn't be that shouldn't be how it works. Like if it's not working for you right now, then maybe you move on a little bit. And Smart, I feel like a broken record saying it, KJ, but to me, he still is. And this is the first week that I'm really even thinking this truly. He's still one of the biggest tradable guys you have, contract wise, skill wise, return value, I guess, wise, that type of thing.
Yeah, and I think that at the end of the day, it's unfortunate that Marcus Smart is probably going to leave Boston, and it's going to be on a negative note, and it's just going to leave a bad taste in your mouth, kind of like me and these plantains. And it's just, and I wanted to say this, and I'll say it now after the bet, but you wanted to get into the super chats, which we have to get into, we have to prioritize. But I'll say it now. Okay. Celtics are 2-5 right now.
Yeah.
If the Celtics...
Oh, man, you're making another bet.
If the Celtics... Right. I'm trying to think. How many... So they played 7 games, okay? Let's see. I want to see how far out this is because I don't want to make a bet for like a month down the road, okay? So how quickly will it be when they play? Let's see. 1, 2,
Look at what Gear says. Here goes the shoe. Is the shoe coming?
All right. I give myself maybe 2 weeks. So let's see. That gives us. I don't know when our next episode is going to fall on this because that would make it easier to time it out. But they pretty much have at most 1 day off for most of the rest of this time, except the Saturday to Wednesday. After that, it's just 1 day off. So we'll have to fit in the power hour in there somewhere anyway. So let's see, 7 games. So if they go 4-3 over the next 7, that would be about 6 and 8. You know, gosh, okay. I guess I can get away with this. If the Celtics, I guess that's Christmas. All right, let me go before. Let me go before. I don't want to go all the way to Christmas. I need to do short, but I don't know what to put it at. I mean, they have a tough schedule coming up too, but I'm just gonna go for it. I'll tell you what. All
Go
right,
for it. Go for it.
9 games. If the Celtics are not at least, I'm just gonna say 8-8. Okay, if the Celtics aren't at least 8-8, I wanted to say 10-10, but I feel like it's too far out. I how about where can I cut? I don't know where to put the cutoff because
No,
when
it's fine. We can let you keep betting and betting and betting and betting. It's like the house always wins.
so is
Keep going,
Thanksgiving
KJ.
Thanksgiving is the 25th, so I probably can't. We're not gonna have a show on Thanksgiving. I mean, where? One more thing. One more thing. All right, we'll have a post Thanksgiving. It'll be fine. All right, post Thanksgiving. Okay. I know that's a while to wait, but it's just that's what I need. All right, 10-10 is what I'm saying. If the Celtics are not at least 10-10, which would be 8-5, would be a pretty good record. Okay, if they're not at least 10-10, I'll eat whatever people start putting in the chat. Okay, we'll pick something from the chat that I will eat if the Celtics are not at least 10-10. Okay, I think that's reasonable. 8-8 seems like a big ask, but I think 10-10. I believe they'll be at least. I can't imagine they won't get back to 500 this season. So 10-10, I feel like is a reasonable one to some
Okay,
extent.
throw some stuff out in the chat there. What do we got? Plantains came up last.
Yeah,
Eat goat meat. We're seeing.
goat meat. Okay, goat meat is one answer. Yeah, someone's saying Phil's saying that I should do the 40 in the next 10 games. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna say the 10-10. I feel like that's reasonable. I feel like that's something I actually believe, because I don't know if I believe any of the other records I could throw out there right now.
Chocolate cockroaches.
Oh
Hey,
god.
this is right here. This is my vote so far.
Ghost pepper. I don't know. Here's the thing though. It needs to be something I can get. I don't know where I'm gonna get chocolate cockroaches.
Ghost pepper. You could find
I
that.
mean, I could find a ghost pepper. I was thinking about doing a ghost pepper anyway for this one because I felt like plantains were a little tame. I didn't like them, but ghost pepper, I would say of all the things so far, I think goat meat would be the tamest out of those. But I'll go I'll go ghost pepper. It's gear saying toe of Satan. I think that's another type of pepper, I think. So maybe
Why don't we say that? Let's do hot pepper. You'll get you. I trust you, and I wouldn't let the chat down. So I trust you to get a pepper that's like, that is hot. Like you're not gonna go out there being like, hey guys, I brought a banana pepper to the party. Let's see if I can handle it.
I'll go walk down the street to Publix and see if they have a ghost pepper or something, or at the very least I could find one on Amazon. But that's what we'll say. So the Celtics. Here's officially all concise. So when we need a clip it, we add it. If the Celtics aren't at least 10-10, but by Thanksgiving will be the date, the line of demarcation where that'll pretty much happen. Okay, 10-10. I will come on this stream and I will eat a ghost pepper or the toe of Satan or whatever we can find. All right, that's what I'll do. So,
All right.
Hopefully,
I love that this is what this show is turning into. By the way.
Yeah.
It's just we're 4 episodes in and KJ has made 2 bets and already lost one of them. So I love it.
I'm a man of my word. All right. Jimmy J saying make a smart choice.
Capitalize the S in smart. Do you get it? Do you get what Jimmy J's doing there?
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Do you believe that the Celtics can get to 10-10? I mean, we can look at their schedule really quickly. That I was kind of briefly glancing at it. So over these,
yeah, it could be tough.
Games. It's 13 games, I think, off the top of my head. Yeah, 13 games. You got the Magic tomorrow night. Like, please, for everything that is in me, that is right in the world, like, just beat the Magic. Like, for the love of God, you have to beat the Magic. Okay. Now, after the Magic, it gets a little tough. Heat, Mavericks. Although Mavericks, they're not doing too hot this season either. They're a winning record, but their point differential is shaky. So you got the Heat, the Mavericks, and then sorry, I need water or something. I'm not doing well right now.
Heat, Mavericks, Raptors, Bucks.
I still have this plantain in my throat. It's not doing good. All right. So anyway, Heat, Mavericks, Raptors Bucks. So let's just say next game's got to be a win. All right, boom, you're 3-5. Over those next four, like Raptors, you got to beat the Raptors. Can you give me like just 2-2 in that stretch? Like that's I don't think that's asking too much. Okay, that puts you at 5-7. You got two against the Cavs. Give me both of those,
Okay.
and then that should put you at what? What do we say? I lost my train of
Five
thought
and
now.
seven. That should be 7-7.
All right, so yeah, you get that now puts you at basically 5-2 over that stretch. So yes, 7-7, and then the next six, you got to win at least three, and you got the Spurs, the Rockets, and the Thunder in there again in the mix of the Nets, Lakers, and the Hawks game. So to me, that's 10-10. That should easily. I mean, I don't even need you to beat. I only really need you to beat one good team, and that's like including some iffy ones like the Mavericks and the I guess those would be the Hawks, which are pretty good. But I mean, as long as you beat a couple of those, or you
You're
don't even
also
need to
accounting for that they
beat
have to beat all the teams that they need to beat. They
yeah,
should beat,
but
I should say.
10-10 should be very doable. So I'm fine with that. But I guess if it is, I'll go ahead and eat another weird thing on the stream as this is becoming a theme now. The KJ Eats segment of the show of the Celtics Power Hour. But there was something else I wanted to touch on, Ev, which was that we did this whole thing because the Celtics were 2-5 and whatever. I mean, when you have a team that has two All-Stars on it, like this team does, like I don't know how it's possible that you're this bad, especially when it's not like they're surrounded by complete garbage. I mean, these are good NBA players. Like for as much as we talk about Mark Smart, good NBA player. Robert
Mhm.
Williams, good NBA player. Josh Richardson, Dennis Schroeder, Al Horford. These guys are all good. Like and Peyton Pritchard, he's been bad this season, but he looks like a good NBA player from what we saw last year. So I don't know like what else you're supposed to do for those guys. Like other than it would be great to have another star, but I think that they're not surrounded by trash. As again, my camera goes out because I don't know if it overheated or
We can
what.
hear you though.
Um, but I was essentially saying that I think that there's plenty more that this team could have, but in theory, like the Celtics should have enough to be a good team. Like having a team that has the star power that they have, I don't understand how they're this bad. So I don't think it's going to last. But it's perplexing to me in the first place that it's even possible to have a 2-5 start with when you have the Jays on your team.
It's scary to me because I don't know when I say like scary, people are like, "Oh, how are you scared of sports?" You know what I mean? It's like worrisome of me, whatever. I'm not genuinely scared about this, but it's scary to think that, we got rid of the excuse last year that we all would fall back on. Oh, you know what? Like they're tuning Brad out. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. It's Brad. It's Brad. It's Brad. That excuse isn't here anymore. And I get it. He's still in the organization, but his sort of coaching culture is not trickling down through to this team anymore. Brad Stevens is out of the question for me now. So now you bring in the fact that it's like, whoa, okay, we bring in a new coach, but we're seeing the same problems. So now it's like, okay, where do we look? And that's what's worrisome to me because then it's like, okay, well, now these players have to look in the mirror, which I think that all Celtics fans kind of wanted to avoid for as long as possible. But it might be the case. And we touched on some of it today in terms of like what could be the issue here. But this team, to me, what I've seen so far, like you might be eating a hot pepper next time we have to, revisit a bet. Like I haven't seen anything promising or anything that tells me that this team can turn it around. Us going through those games saying that, they should beat the Cavs twice in a row. They should be able to beat the Hawks or the Mavericks or the Raptors, that type of thing. We haven't seen a Celtics team that we can just say, hey, bank it. They're going to do that, And that's what's worrisome. So hopefully we can rely on, it's a new team, guys need to click, blah, blah, blah. But my biggest thing last night was, well, they were clicking. They were clicking last night and they still blew it. So I don't know, little worrisome to think that, it might be a bigger issue than we're making it out to be. But we'll see. It's been a roller coaster so far. A lot to talk about, luckily, which is great in our business. But man, the Celtics team has not been winning games, and they haven't even shown us that they can go out and do exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, so I mean, let's look at last season even. Okay, who was the worst, or who was the most talented team to miss the playoffs, right? I mean, what team had like two all-star caliber players and just, whipped and two, never mind. I mean, I forget two players as good as Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, just two. I'm looking for just two guys that are even borderline all-stars, especially in the
Mhm.
East. Like the Raptors last season, like, and with all the weird stuff they were going through, like, I don't even know if they should count, so considering
No,
like
yeah.
they were playing in Tampa. Like, I guess maybe you could say the Bulls, or the Pacers, maybe with like Brogdon and Sabonis. But like even then, I'm like, like, am I counting Brogdon as an All Star? Like, and if you want to go out west, like there's maybe better examples in the West. Curry and Draymond Green, is he still like that at this point? Zion and Brandon Ingram, like, to me, it's like it's hard for me to find an example of a team that has two players as good as those guys that's just terrible. And when you do find that team, like, what do they have around them? Like the Timberwolves, for example, like with Towns and Russell or Towns and Edwards, whatever. Like that team doesn't have a lot of talent elsewhere on the roster. Like, is it just youth? Like, because a lot of these teams I'm mentioning, like they're still young and they're growing, like the Pelicans or the Timberwolves and stuff like that. But or is it something else? Like, I feel like when I see this team and I see what kind of high end talent they have, there's just no way in my mind that it makes sense that they would not be able to win games at a high rate.
Yeah, I mean, this team doesn't make. I think that is probably a way to just sort of hit the nail on the head. Like, it doesn't make sense, but it's sort of the facts and the reality that we've been given so far. Like, it doesn't make sense. So maybe that does, lean towards the side of, okay, well then, inevitably this team's gonna get it going, right? And that's kind of what you're banking on with the 10-10 start compared to this 2-5 where they've been. But to me, it's like I think the word that I want to use is like the trust in this team. Like someone on the stream, my guy Greg said, "Hey, and my history with guaranteeing games, KJ, on the post game stream. I'm undefeated in like 4 years guaranteeing wins." But I picked my spots pretty damn wisely. Like, I'm not trying to be here being like I've probably picked two tough
Guarantee
games.
it tomorrow, Ev. Guarantee.
Someone asked me, and it was Greg saying like, "Hey, can you guarantee a win tomorrow?" And I said, "You know what? I'm not. I value my guarantee streak. Over 4 years, we're undefeated, guaranteeing games in the post game. I couldn't even use it against the Magic tomorrow, KJ. So where does that tell you my trust is with this team? Like, as someone that rides the highs, like I am, when the Celtics are high, I am high as anything. When the Celtics are low, I'm looking for every hole in the floor, trying to figure out what's wrong with this team. And right now, it's a sinking ship in my mind, and they got to do something to prove to me that, hey, you know what? No, this is a new sort of buoyancy method. Like, we're fine. We can float it even with a million holes in the ship. So I'm just not totally sold yet on any sort of promise coming out of this team. That's not to say I won't be, but like I feel like I want to call it as it is, and people come in the show, come in this stream, come in this show, in the post game shows, and say, "What are you talking about? It's 7 games into the year. Why are you getting so up in arms?" Well, one, trying to make content out of it, and we are reacting to a specific game. But two, I only can go off of what I've seen. If that loss last night was the only loss of the Celtics year, you wouldn't have seen me calling for heads or anything like that. Like, I get it, it's a bad loss reacting to that game, but that loss was just sort of like on top of a few other bad losses they've already had. So to me, I don't have the faith in the team right now to say, oh, they can easily go and go out there and say, we'll rattle off, we'll get back to like 15-10 and that type of thing. Like, I just don't have faith in that right now.
And it's gear, and people in the chat, as he talking about it a lot. At what point do you take a chance on Ben Simmons? And I'll say this: I don't think Daryl Morey is going to do it. I don't think there's any chance the Sixers trade Ben Simmons to the Celtics. I don't care, like, unless they offered up Tatum or Brown. And I just think there's no way they'd let that come back to bite them, because there's a chance they could regret that for years after the fact and it would look terrible. But if it was me, and I don't know if we've had this discussion, if it was me, I would trade every non-J asset that the Celtics have to get Ben Simmons for the most part. Like, I think that if you're looking for a third star, Simmons would be a pretty dang good one. Like, I think that when you're looking at people, I saw people earlier in the chat, someone brought up the idea of trading for pass first point guards, whether it's Chris Paul, Lonzo Ball, someone threw Kyle Lowry in there, which I don't know if he qualifies, but whatever. I mean, Ben Simmons is a pass first point guard. So you'd
Yep.
have the guy that you're looking for with the Jays. The Jays want to run and transition more. Jaylen Brown was espousing that a lot this offseason. Like, Ben Simmons would be great for that. So there's a lot I don't like about Ben Simmons. It certainly wouldn't help the floor spacing next to the Jays, but I mean, he's an all-star. And if you have 3 all-stars on your team, like we see it with the Bulls now, right? Like, do those pieces all necessarily fit together cleanly as, perfectly all-stars that suit each other's games? No, not at all. Like DeRozan and Levine, you would never think those two would have worked. But they are right now. And so I think, if you can get 3 all-stars on the same roster, at this point, if you're the Celtics, like, just go for it. I know it's maybe people are going to say, been there, done that. We tried it with Kyrie and Hayward and Walker and all these guys, and it didn't work. So that you can't do it that way. I'm going for it. I do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would be saying this. I know I talked about Ben Simmons in the offseason too and said, like, if they were to sell him low because of everything that's going on with him, then yeah, I'll take him, right? But I don't know if the Celtics, if this record were reversed, if they're 5-2, I probably wouldn't want Simmons here. But if this 2-5 is any sort of indication or sort of I guess just like a indication, of what they are going to be, then I say why not? Like, I don't love the player Ben Simmons just because of that offensive issue, I guess. But in terms of running the floor, he's great at that. He's such a good, like a great defender. I can't even say he's a good defender. He is a great defender. So maybe, yeah, I'm swinging the bat on it. I don't think that I'm as like confident as you are in terms of like, oh, will it work out? But I want to make it very clear to you and to everyone watching or everyone in the chat live right now. It's that I would pull the trigger on Ben Simmons because of how bad the Celtics have been. And I think that's a decent note, decent sort of detail to throw in there. If this Celtics team was 5-2 right now, I wouldn't think, oh, we can get even better with Ben Simmons. But I do think because they're bad right now, I think that there could be some benefit from Ben Simmons.
Yeah, and I also want to shout out It's Wongy's comment saying, Adam Wong, I could be wrong, but wasn't there talk last season of Brad not playing through JT and JB enough? And now it feels like people like Marcus Smart and other people are saying they're doing it too much. And yeah, that's absolutely true. And it feels like, I'm not quite sure what's, the problem is, like I said on the team before, but I feel like when you have 2 players that good, it's crazy that the idea of not playing through them. I mean, what team doesn't play through their superstars in the NBA nowadays? Like, it's, I can't think of one. Every team runs things directly through their stars. So I think that's pretty silly. Some people respond to the Simmons thing. Ben Simmons on this team would be great. So we have a positive take there, saying I would roll the dice on Simmons. Why not? And I think that some Celtics fans and this is Antonio saying, let's not act like the Sixers would even consider giving us Ben Simmons. I don't know. Why not? I feel like Smart's trade value has definitely gone down, but I feel like there was a world where, like, you have Smart, who is a nice little defender there, can replace Simmons defensively. You have Pritchard and Nesmith, who are great shooters. Like, you're speaking Daryl Morey's language there. And you can throw every pick in the world at them and, whatever. Like, does something like that get it done? Maybe not. You can also throw, at some point, you'll be able to throw Dennis Schroeder. And I don't know, like, maybe you can reroute Josh Richardson somewhere else and get the Celtics a different piece they'd like. Like, I don't know. But maybe you can even, how about this? Find a way to work the trade so that maybe Smart and another piece, maybe it's a 4-team trade, 3-team trade, whatever, Smart and another piece go elsewhere, and you actually get the Sixers Buddy Hield, and then Buddy Hield and Nesmith and Pritchard and all these guys go to the Sixers, the shooters that they love, and you get Ben Simmons. Like, I don't know, that could potentially work too. So I feel like maybe if the Sixers get desperate enough, it's not impossible to see. But I also think that a lot of these Celtics fans that 2 weeks ago would have told you they never in a million years would want Ben Simmons on this team are now changing their tune a little bit.
That's where I am, to be honest. Like, if this is any indication of what the season's going to be, then I say, why wouldn't you pull the trigger on that? And that is judging a small sample size, but a pretty bad of that small sample size, a pretty bad sort of outcome so far. So I'm not as sold on Simmons as you are, but like, I'm definitely not off that train. You know what I mean? Like, fine. If he's gonna possibly help them, then swing the bat.
All right. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Celtics Power Hour. We're going to wrap things up here. If anybody wants these plantains, they can come to my house and just take them. I feel like they're otherwise just going in the garbage. They weren't this wasn't eating the worst thing in the world, but I'm sure I'd like a ghost pepper less. But hopefully the Celtics can get to 10-10 and save me from that
The
fate.
first of many bets from KJ this year. Don't forget that. The
Yeah, of
first of
course.
many bets. So that's okay that you started off with just plantains. Now
Yeah,
you're gonna have ghost pepper. Pretty soon you're gonna be juggling knives, eating fire. Like this show's going to the moon, and it's because of KJ's bets over here.
right. All right. Well, thank you guys again for joining us. We will be back. I don't think we've set a date for next week yet. I have the schedule up now. It could be another Tuesday show. I mean, Tuesday's another opening for us, so seems like a sweet spot. Who knows? Tuesday or Thursday is the likely landing spot for that. But Ev, any final words before we wrap things up?
No, I mean, good show. Kudos to you for eating those plantains or whatever we want to call them. Man of your word. One,
If you
one
want to
bet
go back,
down.
if you missed it, you can go back in the stream. I think it was about 20 minutes in, roughly. We started
Yes,
talking about the
yes.
plantains. So
KJ answered the bet, and he did eat the plantains there. So no last comments from me other than the scheduling of this. I know I've talked about it before, but we are fitting this in. Not to say where we're able to, but we want to do this when the Celtics aren't playing. You know what I mean? We got multiple live streams when the Celtics are playing. KJ does the Patriots post game show. So yeah, nothing else, but just keep an eye on the YouTube community tab, and we'll update you guys when we are going live. One final bite from KJ here.
yeah. Oh, that sounded bad. I
And
just
on that note,
give the people one more
guys,
bite.
hit that subscribe button and like the video. And
No, never mind. Never mind.
oh man, oh man, oh man. All right. All right. I think KJ's got to get off camera and go handle some business. But we will catch you guys in the next show. Again, we're making sure it's Tuesdays and Thursdays priority. But other than that, just keep an eye and we'll fill you guys in when it is. Hope you guys do enjoy the live show. Appreciate all of the super chats tonight. And yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next Celtics Power Hour. 4 down. Many, 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 many more to go. Peace.
Yes.